All right, so hi, my name is Ayush. I've been involved with all things STEM here at Foothill for about a year now, and I'm here with Professor Laurence Lew and another student, Juan. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, hi, I'm Juan Bello. I'm a student here at Foothill. I'm in charge of the VR lab at Foothill in room 4220.
Awesome. My name is Laurence Lew. I am a business instructor here at Foothill College and very excited to be part of this discussion in STEM and AI and technology and business, of course.
hmm Yeah, so from my understanding, you are somewhat of a leader of the Business Innovation Challenge here at Foothill. So would you like to explain what that is?
Sure. The Business Innovation Challenge is an annual competition that has been around for about 6 years now, and it's focused on providing students from all across the campus an opportunity to delve into innovation and learn more about how to create solutions for any kind of problem, not just in business, but in all different forms and areas. It happens typically in the spring, and students learn a lot. And in fact, Juan, a
Yeah.
couple years back, you participated and won. So was excited to have you as an interviewer because I think you can speak to a little bit of its power as well.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to say since that time, but it was about 3 years ago, I've just checked in on the Business Innovation Challenge, like maybe help promote it or help some other contenders even last year. I was wondering, have you seen it? How have you seen it like evolve or change? Because it definitely seems like the prizes are more serious now and the teams are, I don't know, more people, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I mean it's over the years, every year it gets bigger and better, and more students participate and find value in it, and I think that it's really interesting. I don't know if you all know my background. I am a business instructor at Foothill College, but my undergraduate degree and a lot of my professional experience has been in STEM. I was a
Mm.
computer scientist, and I worked in biotech and a lot of different areas. And so when the Business Innovation Challenge is an example of something that in the business department we really focus on, which is trying to bridge the gap between business and technology. And as a business instructor, as part of the business department, my focus is not just to teach business classes. It's really to help students like yourselves prepare for your future, right?
Mhm.
Some of you are going to have a lasting career in the area that you choose. Some of you are thinking about building your own business. And all of that requires an understanding of the skills that you need to have, and also an understanding of the job market and the future of work. And so that's where the Business Innovation Challenge is an example of that. Can I tell you a little bit more about the philosophy we have in the business
Yeah.
department, like what we try to do?
Yeah.
In addition to teaching classes, right? We have all the usual classes, intro to business, marketing, finance, operations, all those types of things. But we like to, in order to help you focus on preparing for your future, we believe that there are three things that are super important for students to focus on. Not just, I mean, classes are super important, right? You got to do well in your classes, and you want to learn all the right things. But we believe that in addition to learning content in classes, you have to do things like learn how to do it, right? Experiential learning is super important, right? If you are whatever your career choice is, not only do you want to read about it, but you want to actually practice it. And so the Business Innovation Challenge is an example of that kind of focus on experiential learning. We also believe that if you are going to focus on your future, you need to develop like in the area, professional development is critical. And so whether that is learning the skills of your trade, right? If you're going to be a computer scientist, obviously you're going to learn how to code. If you're going to be a healthcare worker, you have to, learn about healthcare science and actually how to, take care of patients and do all things like that. But there are other things that are super important. And maybe if you think about the past few years, right now, this year and last year, we started to come back into the classroom physically. But, from 2020 until 2022 or so, we were kind of in this Zoom land, right? We didn't have a lot of experience. We lost a lot of experience in certain areas. Like sometimes we don't know how to communicate in person, or we don't know certain things regarding how to work in your career. How do you actually work on a team, or how do you talk to people? And those are things that professionally we want to help give you experience to do that as well. Not only in the Business Innovation Challenge, but there are other places where perhaps you want to practice those kinds of skills and develop your professional expertise. So that's the second thing, right? Professional development. And then the third thing that we believe is really important in order to help you prepare for your future, you need social support, like working with others, working well with team members, finding people that you can work well with and get learn in a safe and supportive environment with other classmates, other instructors, other people. So in our business program, we try and provide those three different skills, or those three different areas of focus. 3 areas of focus, which are experiential learning, professional development, and social support. So that's the kind of a little, in a nutshell, what we try to do in our program.
Yeah, wow, I would definitely say the Business Innovation Challenge gave me all of that. And even because I've always you can always read a pitch deck, but then once I actually, or how to do a pitch deck, but once I actually did it, I've had the confidence to talk to my friends about it, and even say what I've done, rather than oh, I read this somewhere. This really it does give you the confidence. And I see other people I did this, now I can try to do it again, outside of the competition. So that's really cool. Yeah, definitely. Even the workshops you held for the kids prior to the competition really helps a lot, just to bring the confidence.
Yeah, again, we just want to give you an opportunity to practice it, try it out in a safe environment, so you don't feel sometimes you feel oh, it's so important and you don't want to screw up. And when you don't want to screw up, then you don't really practice, right? You want to try and go for it, right? And so that's what we try to do in the challenge and in other areas that we are learning to do.
Yeah. And then one thing I was wondering was, how does the Emerging Technologies Institute integrate with the Business Innovation Challenge and just the philosophy of the business program here at Foothill in general?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I look at myself like a bridge builder, right? Because I grew up in the tech world. My first job was a computer programmer, computer scientist, and then I moved into business. So I like to see myself as a connector between those two worlds. Emerging technologies is incredible, and where we are today, who knew that we'd be here today a few years ago, right? With the hot topic, in November of last year, for most people, was what the hell is ChatGPT? And then now it's buzzing everywhere. And emerging technologies like that, generative AI, machine learning, automation, all those types of things, they're going to redefine the way that our job market is, right? And so if I'm coming from the business department and I'm trying to help you either get your career, or help you to focus on building your own business, emerging technologies is not always just about building the next big app or building the next big gadget. It's much more than that. And so, from the business point of view, I think emerging technologies is super important, and it has a huge impact on what students need to do. I mean, if you are a student now, you have to prepare for a future that is extremely different than a few years ago, right? And so how does that look? Well, maybe you have to think about developing skills that transcend the boundaries of traditional career paths of the past. It's not the same. And how do we do that, right? That's something that's super interesting to me. It's not only about learning the next language or figuring out the next application for the hot technology. It is also about cultivating a culture that allows you to be adaptable, be resilient, and be able to learn continuously, because things continuously change now. Right. If you learn, the next great language today, or you learn about the next technology today, tomorrow there'll be a new one, and maybe it'll change the way that we think the world is. The pandemic in the past few years changed all the rules of business, and so now we have to relearn. And so I believe that emerging technologies is very important in that way. It's just redefining everything for us, and it's big. It's everywhere.
Yeah. I was wondering, oh, keep going.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, for students who are wondering or wanting to know more about AI and just kind of how business and AI would work together, what would they expect to get out of the workshops, like the future of business and AI?
So last year, we put together a really huge effort on AI, because we knew that AI was groundbreaking and gonna impact everything. And so we talked about ethics in AI. We talked about the impact on careers and jobs, education, all those different things. And I believe that when you look at it like that, artificial intelligence, which is, you think about it, it's really techy, right? But it's not just that. It affects everybody, whether you're going to be a computer programmer or whether you're going to be somebody who doesn't know how to code at all. All the different types of interactions are going to be somehow connected. Last year, one of the hot topics, even before AI, we were talking about NFTs. That was like about when it was really hot. And so you think, when it was really hot, people were like, okay, well, what is it? How does it work? And so what? And then the use case for it was, okay, we're going to sell JPEGs for millions of dollars, and is that going to work or not going to work? But the truth of NFTs as an example, there's a core technology in there, and maybe there's a really cool use case that can be found, and we can use it and apply it to all sorts of different things. Maybe it hasn't been found yet, right? And now, for example, we talked about the Business Innovation Challenge as one type of experience, and then you mentioned this AI and the future of work, where we're trying to figure out, well, what should you do when you think about your jobs? What kind of jobs should you target? What kind of jobs should you not? Because there are jobs going away, and there are jobs that are coming. And so we want to figure out, you as students, when you probably want to figure out what to do and how to do it. And, should I take that class in this, to learn this thing, or should I take some other class, or, where should I go? Do you, the two of you, when you think about your future, how do your career decisions and choices, how have they changed based on your understanding of AI and the way that jobs are changing?
In my case, I think dramatically, just because even in the things I do here at school, AI can be a massive part of how I may approach a problem, just because it allows me to. The good thing about generative AI is that even if it isn't perfect, even if it can't do just a whole assignment, it builds a framework of which I can jump off of, which gives me. It makes it so that the intellectual load is way lower, so I can be a lot more creative in the way that I approach problems.
Yeah, I think that generative AI is a really fascinating area to focus on. I'm it's summertime right now, and I'm preparing the year for what I'm going to do. And first of all, I have to I don't know if you all know this or care about this. There's this focus from many folks about how are students going to use it, and are they going to cheat, and what are they going to do,
Hmm.
and obviously you could do that, right? You could cheat, but I think that there is more that you can do with it, right? And you can actually, and Ayush, I think what you're alluding to is if you use it correctly, you can up your game, right? You can say, okay, well, I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about these things. It's like the calculator before, you had to
Yeah.
know your times tables and you had to know how to do longhand division. And now you don't really need to know that. You can work on, higher level math. And the same
Mhm.
thing with generative AI. There's opportunities, right? If you use it correctly, to
Hmm.
actually, expand your innovation and to create new things in a both broader and deeper way. And
Mhm.
so I mean, back to my classes, I am gonna have to put a section in my syllabus about what you can and can't do with
Yeah.
generative AI. I mean, I'm expecting that that we will have assignments where you could use chat GPT or whatever that you want to use to help you to, like you were saying, start with something and then refine it and use your creativity to do something bigger and better. um, I am in my business 11 class. My business 11 is introduction to information systems, but it's really survey of disruptive technologies, right? I like to talk because we're in Silicon Valley, and so why not
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about all these different things. And so I'm going to include, don't quote me, but I'm going to include in business 11 a module on prompt engineering. Why not?
Mhm.
And talk about what's the best, if because you're all going to use it, right? So what's the best way to use a large language model? And how could you create, and I'm not going to give you like a huge class because you'd have to take a note, but just a basic thing like what is a large language model, what are some of the specific prompt models you can have, but and how do you, what can you expect from that kind of technology?
Mhm.
What is it, how does it work, and so what?
Pretty great. Yeah.
Um, maybe I can talk a little bit about some other examples of, I talked about experiential learning, professional development, and social support.
Mhm.
So you and I, the three of us, we've been talking about the Business Innovation Challenge because that seems to be like one of the biggest ones, biggest events on campus that about from the business department. But there's a few others. So we also have a thing called the case competition, which has been going on for also about 5 years or so. And I think that this is another example of partnering innovation with emerging technologies and problem solving in a way that students can actually get real experience. And so this last year, we've done it again several years, but this last year we were fortunate to have Google Health come on campus as our featured showcase company. And the case competition basically allows us, a company, to come onto the Foothill campus. Students get to interact with professionals from that company. The company shares what they do, how they operate, and provides a specific problem that they're working on, like right now. And students get to work on it with the professionals from that company. So last year, Google Health came. We worked on, you all, not me, you all worked on a specific problem that they were facing, trying to address patients with chronic conditions. So diabetes, heart conditions, things like that. And that also is an example of experiential learning, where you work on a real problem from a real company and get real experience. And this year, again, we are going to have the case competition with, I can't tell you what the company is, but it's going to be great. And so that's another example of, giving students the opportunity to exercise their career building muscles and trying to, hone their skills. Uh, there are a couple of other experiences that we all are also providing. So we've last year and in years past, we provide a internship series, workshop series, where you because do you all have internships, right? You've done it before, you have internships, and I know do you know many students who want to get internships, and sometimes it's hard to
Absolutely.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you're fortunate enough to know about the opportunities, maybe you know what job you want, or you know that there's internships in specific areas, that's really great. But sometimes students, they don't know where to look for internships. They don't know how to go about getting them. They don't know how to prepare for those things. And so that's exactly what this internship workshop series is all about. Helping students who maybe you don't know much about networking, or you want to learn more how to write a resume, or how do you answer that question in the interview in the right way. And so and then where do you go to actually find potential internships? So we try to provide that type of experience for students, in a very straightforward and easy to understand, easy to access series of events that happens every winter. And so that's something that we're going to be doing again this year, and hopefully it will be very helpful to students. There is also another series that we are just starting this year. We're going to start it in the fall, and we're working actually with different parts of the campus. So you all know SLI and right, the Science Learning Institute, the Office of Workforce Development. I'm not sure if you know or have heard about them. The Office of Workforce Development is similar to SLI. SLI is really focused on science and STEM focus. The Office of Workforce Development is broader. It's really just trying to help all our students get prepared for work and get jobs, right? Get jobs if you want to get a job. And so we're working with them to put on this career exploration series. So different than the internship series. The internship series is, you want an internship, let's help you prepare and give you a job fair, intern fair, and then go and do it. But even before that, some students, maybe they're interested in science, or they're interested in something, but they don't know exactly what's possible. Like, what are the jobs, right? I don't know if you all are aware of all the different possible jobs that might be out there that are up and coming or really cool. For example, prompt engineering now on everybody's radar screen because, wow, lots of money. But there are other jobs that are up and coming that maybe not everybody knows about. And so this career exploration series is one way that we're trying to help students to get exposed to new career opportunities in all sorts of fields, to do a little bit of soul searching in themselves, like, what do I like? What am I good at? Those kinds of things to help you maybe match. Say, okay, there's these interesting kind of jobs out there. Maybe, what is an AI ethicist going to be doing, right? And what kind of skills do they need? And maybe I want to do that. And if I want to do that, maybe we will bring people who do those jobs that you might be interested in learning more about, so that you could get like a day in the life. Like, what is it like to be fill in the blank kind of job? And so that's this career exploration series. You can think of it like, before going out to get a job or getting an internship, like, what are the jobs out there? What do I want? What kind of skills might I want to get? And that's a precursor. Like, it's like the predecessor to the internship series. And then you do that, you go, and then you get your internship. That's and we're looking to launch that this fall.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an awesome amount of just workshops, or just like series for students, and even for Foothill to be more social, which is something I know the school has been trying to work on. So yeah, it's awesome you're doing this for everyone.
Well, that you mentioned the social aspect, and I think you can, and I mean I've seen you both on campus, and so in the past year, like this past year and this coming year, there's more people, more students, more faculty, more everybody on campus doing things together,
Mhm.
and there's something about that. I mean, obviously, online is great, and there's all sorts of benefits to that. But there's something about working with people right there that
Yeah.
that
Definitely.
is special, and
Mhm.
so hopefully we'll do much more of that this coming year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What
Okay.
else can I address for you all? Is there? I know you had a list of questions. I don't know if we talked about all those different things.
Yeah. Just off the top of my head, I know you mentioned AI and blockchain, but are there any other emerging technologies that you're excited about?
Uh, I right now I'm immersed in large language models and trying
Yeah.
to figure that out. I don't know how you all are doing it, but I'm definitely taking a lot of courses and reading up on everything because I want to make sure again from a business department point of view, our bread and butter is business functions, but we want to make sure
Yeah.
that there's a tie to these
Yeah.
different technologies. So that's top of mind for all of the instructors in our department.
Hmm.
I don't have any other questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Is there anything else I wanted to mention before we talked about that? I mean, I know we're running and we can edit everything.
Yep. Yep.
I have a question for you all. What's your thought about jobs and um, the future of work? Do you find yourselves concerned at all with how uh, jobs will come and go? I mean, because there's a lot of research and study about how the workforce is going to be transformed, right? So
Hmm.
there's some studies that say 40% of the workers of the current workers globally will need to get new jobs
Mhm.
because either AI is going to either take their job or change their job or
Mhm.
Hmm.
something like that. Job displacement is kind of a big deal. Is that something that you as students concern yourselves with and or not? And if so, but if you do concern yourselves with that, how does your thinking evolve based on that? Do you make different decisions or what do you do?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a huge concern just in general for people of our generation. But for me specifically, um, I don't think that's much of an issue just because I like to be on like the very forefront of everything which is happening, and I've kind of always been like this. So like with ChatGPT, I've known about it since before it was even released. And so I think that that makes it so that I don't feel I'll ever be outdated in the way that I approach problems or that I do things. So I think there'll always be a place in the job market which I can be in and succeed in.
What would you advise your classmates to do?
Um, I'd say to um, I guess just always be curious, always see what is continuing to emerge, what is continuing to evolve, and be educated on it to a point
Hmm.
where even if it's not something that you need to address at the time, you can still integrate it into your current workflow to possibly elevate where you are. And then it's also future proofing in a way, because then if it does make whatever you do obsolete, you can still transition to something where uh, human interaction is still required.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely agree with this. Juan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say I would agree with Ayush how he was saying to prepare. Because for me, I would say I do worry about some things. right now I'm in the path of being like a VR developer, and like the things is like art creation or just like coding. Everything seems there seems to be like a worry how like AI is gonna take over. I don't think it'll be, or even know how long until it's like that good that it takes over everything. But I just think preparing yourself and like just being aware of what new is coming in and like what it can do. Because at the end
Hmm.
of the day, just like 20 years ago when like more computers started coming out, and someone like I remember my friends have like parents in the graphic design world, and they're like, oh, like they didn't know how Photoshop was going to damage their business and everything, and they kind of just like set it aside. But I'm sure like if they would have honed it in and been like, okay, Photoshop is this really cool thing, and like used it how like learned as much as they could, then they probably would have had an upper hand than just kind of let.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, just being aware of it and like understanding it and seeing how it can help you rather than how it can go against you.
Yeah, what the two of you have been talking about, I think is a really it's like a great summary of the one thing that you may want to take away, which is when I was your age, makes me sound really old, but when I was your age, it was easy to plan, not easy, but you could plan for your future. My parents and parents before, they would say, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up, and what major are you going to pick? And if you picked wisely, you could probably do that job for your whole life, right? You could be set, right? You could be set. Nowadays, you can't plan because everything's changing so fast. But you can use the word that you all said, which is prepare. You can prepare, right? And say, okay, well, what are the possible things going on? And you can think about, what is it that I can do to help me to prepare for all the possible changes, right? You don't know what's going to come in the future, but you can, be good at, and as Ayush, you were mentioning, future proofing. Well, how do you do that? Well, you think about those skills and those experiences that you can apply no matter what, right? So how can you navigate change? How can you pivot and use new skills when new jobs come and old jobs go away? And
Mm-hmm.
that's a mindset that you can use for your future. And if you do that, you will be able to ride the wave into the future. Anyway, that's
No, yeah, thank you for asking that.
Yeah, I think that was a really, I think that was a really interesting question just because of how much it incorporates just not only the business and AI aspect, but also just like students and their futures in general. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Mhm.
Thank you for a wonderful talk. And I'm looking forward to working with you. And I know the Principia is really incredible. So congratulations on that work as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence.